Hello, Hopkinton, and welcome to Hopkinton Hangout Hour. Today is Monday, June 1st. Oh my goodness, May is finally gone, and we're getting closer to opening things up even more. And helping me out today is my co-host, Jim Cousins. Jim, how we doing? Oh, you forgot your mic.
Sorry, I thought I was on. I'm trying to be a professional around here. I'm doing great, thank you. It's a little bit chilly compared to the past couple of days, but I like it. I went for a walk and everything.
Yeah, I was out there walking the dog today, and he actually put the sweatshirt on. As a matter of fact, it's still on today. So, but we are delighted to have with us today is Don Alcott from the Hopkins Youth and Family Services. Hello, Don.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thanks. So, the Hopkins Youth and Family Services sounds like a lot. What is that exactly?
It's a municipal department, so it's a department in the town that serves youth and families, and actually a lot of different residents as well, with a host of things. So it might be information and referral to help somebody get behavioral health care. If they're looking for help with a mental health need or a substance misuse need, they can call us. Or if there's a need around a service that they can't seem to access, whether it be health insurance or some needs-based assistance. So there's information and referral. There's limited short-term counseling for kids. There's assisting residents with connecting to each other and building community, as well as prevention before a problem starts for a young person, getting ahead of it and trying to build a community that has the protective factors in place and reducing the risk factors that lead to problems later on.
And you're easy to find out. Your office is still open, or are you still accessible during this crisis?
Absolutely. So, while town hall is closed, we're all still working. So, and we're still all here for the community. So we're easy to reach, and whatever message somebody leaves comes right into my email, right into my phone. So I'm able to call them right back.
So I'm sorry, I don't know if I missed it. If I was faced, did we get your title? What is your title there?
So it's Director of Youth and Family Services.
All right.
Yep. And I'm a social worker, a licensed independent clinical social worker.
And you're part of a team down there. It's not just you.
Yes, with Colleen Souza. She's the other social worker and LICSW also in the department.
And what does
so Colleen works from 9 to 3, and she works a lot with families. And so she does a lot of the needs-based assistance and referrals around things that families might need access to, like fee waivers for different things, helping them access those applications, health insurance, fuel assistance, those types of things, helping them access the things that they need. And then she does some family sessions with families as well. And then I do some of the clinical work with kids and some of that needs-based assistance too, and then administration work in the department. And we both coordinate Hopkinton Organizing for Prevention, which is the town's prevention coalition.
All right. And could you explain to everyone what that nice acronym at the end of your names are, the LISCW?
Oh, Licensed Independent Clinical Social Worker. Sure. So we're credentialed social workers who can see people clinically, just as though we were in private practice, although we're not.
So have you found yourself doing a lot of this via online communications, or did it change because you hide going in everybody's home?
Right. So that was new to us. Telebehavioral health was definitely new for us. And so we got on a platform for that where we're able to continue the counseling appointments we have and meet with families that way. We've also donned the mask and gone on walks. And for the kids that don't tolerate the computer well, or the folks that, really need that connection, maybe we'll sit 6 feet distance in the yard and we watch for the good weather days. And thankfully, there have been a lot of them. So, we watch for those and then kind of shuffle around and figure out where we're going to fit everything in to meet with folks. Also in person. I think that personal touch for some is so important.
Now, your department is one of the newest departments added on to the town services here that we all see. And it has grown quite a bit. I remember just from, I believe, a contracted social person or combined with a different town, all the way up to now, what, 2 full-timers, time and a half, were you?
It's a 1 3/4
1
staff.
3/4, so you 1 3/4 staff, and you even have an office now, which is stuff that wasn't there before. Where do you see the department going?
That's what we're trying to figure out. Like we right now we're doing a strategic plan. And so, and that process started just as COVID hit, and we were like thinking, well, is now the right time? But it's a good time to be taking a look at what folks' mental health needs are, and kind of revealing and pushing to the surface, what's been going on for people for a while, because COVID amplifies what's already been there. But, if something hasn't been there, there isn't as much amplified. We're all under stress, but when folks are under exceptional stress from even what they had before, more rises to the surface. So we're enjoying that process. Yeah, Norman also asks us, what do you think the department will be when it grows up? And that's what we're asking ourselves. There's certainly more needs and more directions to go in than 2 people can possibly go in. So as we narrow that down and as we learn from the community what it wants, what it needs, and what it values, it will guide the process.
And how do you get that information of what the community needs? Do you do a survey system? How do you find out?
So we'll be doing a series of key informant interviews, and then there is a survey being worked on. A series of survey questions are in the mix right now, and we'll figure out how we deliver that. There was a survey done last year in collaboration with the Mental Health Collaborative, which is Abby Rosenberg's new nonprofit. And so we teamed up together on that. So we have some good data. We have the Metro West Adolescent Health Survey, which is a huge survey done of all the students 6 through 12 that's guiding our effort. And then there are a few other surveys as well that the kids have taken that we're working on accessing that data to. So
Is that the one that's done every year or every other year?
that's the one.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Yep. We because I believe a lot of times they bring the results to the community when it's done, and every year you hear it change, and so it's good that you get that kind of data on a regular basis. You're not waiting like some, have to wait for the U.S. Census every 10 years.
That's right. That's right. It really helps us stay current. They have a way of making that survey very accurate. By the way they ask the questions, they can figure out like if the kid just went through and checked everything off. So they have a way of eliminating the ones that aren't good. But by and large, kids are honest. And so it does give some good data about where they're at. So I think the last time they took it was 2018. So.
All right. So another one's due.
Yeah.
Excellent. What has the department lost? Because I see at little fairs, I see all these things sponsored. I see your bags everywhere and all your buttons. And what has this done the last 3 months? Have that you lost that hope to bring back later? Hopefully, it's just postponed.
The in-person events, right? Like all the feel-good activities. Not to say we're not working on some, but right now I'm going to keep that quiet because it's in the works. But stay tuned for that. We're figuring it out. We're figuring out how to bring more of that feel-good stuff back in. But we certainly lost the celebration of recovery that HOP was planning, Hopkinton Organizing for Prevention. That was going to be on the Common in early May. And that was heartbreaking because last year that was such a successful event. Colleen Souza put so much work into that with the HOP Coalition. And, what a great group of people that coalition is. So we're looking at another event that we can bring some joy to the community and also some positive prevention messages out there.
You mentioned your partnership with Abby Rosenberg. Are you looking to do more partnerships with other groups such as HOP and what have you?
There's a support group for mothers called Mommying is Hard in town, and we've had a wonderful collaborative collaborative relationship with them. Our department is actually sponsoring a training this Thursday evening from 8 to 9:30 that will all be done on Zoom as well with Riverside Trauma Center on coping with uncertainty. And it will be one geared just towards moms. And so we've enjoyed that. We're constantly collaborating with the police department and the fire department and other groups in town, the library, the schools, the big organizations, but also the Girl Scouts. Young Girl Scouts working on their Silver Award did a tremendous vaping project. And they came to Hopkinton Organizing for Prevention for support, and we were able to work with them and guide them on science-based prevention messaging, and really enjoyed that time with them.
We do, and Jim will attest to it. We were just talking about it on a last show last week about love working with the Girl Scouts, especially with their Silver Awards, right, Jim?
Yeah, definitely. They're really interested in trying to bring positive impact to community.
That's right. They never doubt the power of young people and what they are able to do. They are incredible. We were blown away.
I was wondering, could you describe a little bit about, you had just mentioned how sometimes you collaborate with the fire department and with the police department. What does that collaboration look like?
Well, sometimes it's about bringing mental health resources in for first responders. We brought in QPR, which is Question, Persuade, Refer. It's a suicide prevention program. And so that was in December, in early December, we brought that in for all first responders. And where they could be trained in that, and then also about stress reduction for themselves and preventing post-traumatic stress in the work they do, and how timely that was. How did we know a pandemic was on our doorstep, right? So, they're working all the time. They're not at home in a home office somewhere snugly away from the virus. They're right out there. So that's it. That was important, and happy we could do that. And then with HOP, I'm going to keep saying HOP, and it's Hopkinton Organizing for Prevention. We were able to purchase goggles that are very fun, but show what intoxication looked like, so that the police department can use it in their junior police academy to show kids when they're young what it looks like to be intoxicated and what that feels like and how you lose control of yourself. Just for some good primary prevention to kind of give kids an understanding of what intoxication does, so that hopefully they don't go that route.
Now that's interesting. You're talking about a couple of different thrusts that you do into the community to help them. Like right now in this current crisis, you're doing a lot of referrals and you're connecting people with resources and stuff. And now you're kind of talking about some programs that the police department would run, and you are providing resources to help them do that stuff.
Yeah.
If you could kind of briefly give an overview, and this is not coronavirus times, like what a year in the life of your organization is typically like, some of the programs that you run, some of the initiatives that you're fostering. What does your department look like?
Well, I came a year ago, so I got about 3/4 through the year before Corona, so I can't promise you that will be in there in some places. But we do a lot of collaboration. As I think about it with Hopkinton Organizing for Prevention, certainly, all the major departments sit on that. And so, but we also go into the schools and are part of their meetings, but they're a part of ours. I think it's a really reciprocal relationship, but what we're utilized for is that window in to kids' lives in a clinical way, and into families' lives in a clinical way, and then also in like a normal developmental way, not when there's just a problem, but when, how would kids respond to this? How would kids feel about this? Or what's needed to build community for young people and for families, and sometimes for those individuals that a community sometimes overlooks or doesn't see. A big initiative we've been working on this year is suburban poverty and how hidden it is, and the need that is right among us. And certainly that's a big one in my heart, that there are folks that feel pretty invisible because of the plenty that many experience that they don't. And they're fairly hidden because, sometimes it could be happening to your neighbor and you just wouldn't know. That, there's been a job loss, there's been an illness, but they're private. And yet they're having a struggle with putting food on the table for that season of their lives. And so developing initiatives and reaching out, we've been doing a lot of work with groups and reaching out just to spread that message that there is need, and that there are ways to help that could be developed, and ways to help that we have that exist. So a lot of what we've been doing is trying to build that safety net for residents in the community across the board, whether that be mental health, behavioral health. So the things we do, like the activities like partnering with the Youth Commission on MLK Day, or partnering with, the police on Police Night Out and being there. A lot of those things are to boost that sense of connection, and also to let people know we're there, because we do fly under the radar. People don't know about us unless they need us. If there's, a mental health need, people will say, oh, my neighbor told me about you and said I should call, or the teacher or the guidance professional told me about you, or the police or the fire department, but they may not know about it unless they've run up against something difficult. So I think the reason why we're at so many events and you're carrying around our bags and our mugs and our pens and our this and our that is to get it into people's homes so that they're aware. Our largest initiative in the last year has been the Interface Referral Service. We were just blessed by an earmark from Senator Spilka and Carolyn Dykma's office that helped us purchase this referral program that helps people get into treatment. And so what they do is all that legwork of finding a clinician for someone based on their specialty need, their health insurance, and the location of where they'd like to have treatment. So what we often hear from parents is we spent their whole time on the phone, and our kid was over there in the corner having to hear us talk about them, or my spouse had to hear me talk about their depression. And it was dehumanizing. It was awful because I was on the phone with 20 different people and they all were full, or they didn't take my insurance, or they no longer accept new clients. And this Interface Referral Service does all that. And so you make one call instead of 20 calls. And then they come back with 2 to 3 referrals within 2 weeks' time, often much sooner than that. And then if it's a lousy match and you're like, oh, I don't want to see that person, because honestly, it's not always a love connection. If you don't like the person that you're connected to, you call back and you say, the match didn't work. And then they go to that for you again, and they find somebody. So.
Really interesting. Now, it's interesting how you had mentioned that when people are in need and when people are suffering, they will hear about you. And they may connect with you then. If a person is hearing this and says, Don, you have a great service that really helps to support and provide for our community, how can we get involved with you? Is there a place for that?
There's definitely a place for that. So I think depending on the type of help they wanted to give, that would be an individual conversation, but we're always looking for folks to serve on the Prevention Coalition. We are always interested when people have a passion or an idea. Like, think of the moms who started Mommying is Hard. They came to us at the beginning of that, and they had this passion, and they we're running support groups, and then we were able to kind of, journey beside them at different points along the way. They're their own thing and they are doing an amazing job. But once in a while we journey together on a topic and we wrestle out what would be good for the community together, and so there are ways that folks can start their own thing and we can be a support to that, or they can join us in the different things that we're doing, thinking about Youth Commission associate members, as a way to get involved, or on HOP for the youth that are out there. Maybe they're listening. We would love to have them as part of our coalitions. And there's another one that we run that's more regional that tries to unite youth from all over the region called MITT, M-Y-T-T, Metro West Youth Teaming Together. because we find the Hopkinton kids cross the border. So they might be in Ashland, they might be in Upton, they might be in Westboro. They might be doing other things, other places with other kids. Maybe they take dance over here, and maybe, like strengthening the youth presence across the region will be a preventative measure that's a positive thing for them.
That's great. I just want to, as a brief aside, 25 years ago, when I was working in the Westboro Community Access Television Station, we did a show in conjunction with their Youth and Family Services called Straight from the Street, where every summer, the director, her name was Patty Januario, would bring in kids from the community, and it would make a TV show for a few weeks. So,
Nice.
so this is near and dear to my heart.
Prior to my coming to Hopkinton, I was in Medfield, and we did a girls' TV show because girls so often didn't go into the studio at all. Yeah. And they weren't involved in the technical aspects of things. It was mostly the boys. And so we thought, how do we get girls in there? And then how do we get girls to create their own content rather than people telling girls what they should look like, be like, right. Having them create their own show. It was really fun. We had a good time.
And interestingly enough, I've been teaching TV at the high school for the past few years. And in my class, I have always had more than 50% of female participation.
That's great.
Yeah, I'm like so excited about that. I'm bringing up the whole average for my department. But the last question I have for you, I'm taking all of Mike's time. I just love this topic.
You're doing fine. That's why I invited you. Actually, it wasn't much arm twisting at all.
All right, thanks. So once a year, we try to do something. We air the state of the town from the Chamber of Commerce. And I'd like to just give you a minute or two, if you could collect your thoughts and just tell us a little bit about the state of the town from the position of director of the Youth and Family Services. How are things? What are you seeing in our community?
I see really strong leadership amongst my peers. I've been so blessed to come here and work here with the team that I work with, from the fire chief to the chief of police and to the folks that are here in Norman. And there's a value around caring community, and it's real. We sit in meetings with the superintendent, the library director, and all these folks, and it's genuine and authentic that they care about the community and that they show up to work every day because it means something to them. So that at the very beginning is that's been my experience over this year. And the people have been wonderful and welcoming and great. I mean, here I am new and getting to know the community, and folks have just been so kind and so great. So I do believe your state of community is a loving place, a caring place. And when there is a need and folks become aware of it, it's really heartening to watch people step up and come to the plate to really meet that need. There's a number of new things that are being worked on behind the scenes right now that I think will just serve that purpose and show how true and real that is.
That's really tremendous, and it's so cool because you're a social worker. You're in the business of caring for people and helping people. And you just reiterated what most people that I've ever talked to in leadership positions in our community say. And that is how well everyone works together, how clear that they know who their sphere of influence is, and they know how they can count on each other to bring success in whatever that they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, look at Sean and what he's been doing with public health through all this crisis, and our communications director, Josh. All those things come together, and everyone sort of journeys together. I've just been in awe of the emergency management. Certainly, I don't think any of us have been through a pandemic before, but they make it look, like they were preparing for this from day one. So it's great.
Yeah, we do have some great planners in town. And so as you mentioned earlier, you mentioned Medfield. And one thing that I always like to ask, if I guess, is, what brought you to Hopkinton? So without, starting with the elementary school days, but how'd you make it all the way here to Hopkinton?
Well, I think that social work was sort of inbred. I had depression era parents, and knowing what they went through and learning from my dad what it was like to grow up very much without, and how a social worker was influential in his life. That was way back to elementary school, hearing those stories. But definitely, I worked for Medfield for 19 and a half years as their director of a similar program. They call it Medfield Youth Outreach, but it's similar to Youth and Family Services there. And loved my time there, loved what together what we were able to build in that community with the residents and our department in partnership. And so those were exciting times. And I think what drew me into Hopkinton was just where the department was at as a young department, and the experience I had, and having a vision for what these departments can and do and bring in a community, and that safety net that can be created for residents. Drew me in, as well as, and at first I had no intention of applying. I was pretty happy in Medfield, but as the previous director was leaving, we knew each other from a group meeting where we all used to get together, and just hearing of her experience and getting to know Colleen through that group as well, it made it sort of a natural transition and a natural fit.
Well, that's awesome. And we see it, from being in town and being involved in, a lot of the town workings and departments. When one director leaves, another comes, usually, all right, change it up, mix it up. But the transition's been very smooth. It didn't look like the department skipped a beat at all. So that's great that
That's
you
good.
communicate. So, I mean, that's what, we hear it all the time. Oh, yeah, the new director of this is here. And, oh, yeah, shake up. But, it was a nice transition. And that just means nothing good for, our citizens.
Well, the department was left in great shape too by Denise Hildreth. She did a fabulous job while she was here. So it was easy to step in and pick right up, and work. So.
No, that's good. So in Medfield, so were you always from Massachusetts?
Yes. Yeah. I was born at St. Elizabeth's Hospital and raised in Foxborough. So.
So you didn't go too far, I see. That's not bad.
No.
So now, has there been any plans spoken? Now we're getting ready to hit phase 2 of openings. What does that mean for your department?
Not a lot different than what we're doing right now, because of the need to protect people's confidentiality. And you can imagine, like, if I say I were COVID positive and I had contact with 20 people that week, and they were all in my office being bathed in the soup that is the virus, then we let other people know I had contact with them. That's kind of sketchy.
Sure.
So we're trying to figure out all of that. I think a lot of counseling agencies are, and we're following the model that the National Association of Social Workers has put out there and what the hospitals are doing. And hospitals are still very much for the non-emergent situations doing meetings like this. Believe me, I can't wait to get back to seeing residents. I am zoomed out. but I, we respect the safety, and I'll be happy to be in the office a lot more. I think I see myself doing that very soon.
Awesome. Well, Dawn, thank you again for taking the time out. Give our best to Michelle. Tell her we missed her, and maybe we'll catch her next time. And but we have to go and get ready for our next segment.
Okay, thank you for having me. Thanks so much. It was nice to meet you.
Thanks for your work, Don.
Okay, thank you.
Much. And up next is going to be Matt Clark, who's going to give us an idea of what's coming up for the binge watch and some other interesting people we have coming on the Hangout Hour. How you doing, Matt?
Good, Mike. Thanks. Well, coming up tomorrow on the show, we have John Westerling, the DPW director, who's going to be on the first half hour. And in the second half hour, we're actually going to be having Ray Auger, who's also going to be on next. He's going to be back tomorrow to talk about local happenings in town. So it's going to be a good show.
All right. Thank you very much, Matt.
No problem.
and welcome to the second part of the Hopkinton Hangout Hour. I'm, of course, HCAM News Director Tom Nappy, and joining me, we're going to have Eric Belseth and Ray Auger, and we also have Jim Cousins here. And Jim, I understand that you'd like to say something.
Yes, I just wanted to jump in at the beginning of your show to thank WMRC for contributing to the senior car road rally on Saturday. It was a really great event. We got some wonderful feedback from the seniors, and your contribution was phenomenal because not only were you broadcasting HCAM's audio as Principal Bishop and the administration team were talking to the cars as they went by, you also then played a playlist so that as the students were rolling through the town, they could listen to the music that they had selected. So it was wonderful that you joined with us for that. So thank you.
And hopefully Ray was able to hear you there. Ray, if you could just unmute your microphone and camera.
Oh yeah, there I am. Hi. Where's my start video?
There you go.
Sorry. Thank you, Jim. Thank you. It was a pleasure taking part in that. And from what I saw with the videos and the photos and everything, it looks like it went off very well.
It did. Thank you.
Good.
All right, guys. You have a great half hour here.
Thanks.
Thanks, Jim. Ray, I love the outfit.
Hey, if we're gonna talk Disney, we might as well go all out, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Eric is in Disney right now.
Yep.
Hmm.
I'm over in Hollywood
Is he-
Studios right now.
Oh, there he is. Hey, we had the same idea. I love it. Hi, Eric.
And we got Bob Hamilton joining the conversation as well. Bob, how you doing?
Hi, Tom. Yep, I'm here. Can't wait to get to Disney World. I don't have the background, but I like the teacups.
All right, so we're going to be talking a whole lot about the Disney World opening and maybe some other topics if we have time. But there's all kinds of interesting changes that'll happen when Disney World reopens. And some of the details of those changes, you got Disney World and Animal Kingdom opening on July 11th, Epcot and Hollywood Studios by July 15th. Disney Springs is already open. And then you have soft openings for annual pass holders and cast members for a few days before the public reopening. But the hotels will remain closed until further notice. And some of the rules as far as the social distancing, no fireworks, no character meet and greets, no character dining, no extra magic hours or parades, and social distancing stormtroopers will be at Disney Springs. They might also be at parks as well. So Disney's reopening, but it seems very limited, guys.
Yeah.
I would hope Go ahead, Eric. Sorry.
I was gonna say I have the social distancing stormtroopers if you guys want to see them.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
All right, there you go. They're right up here on this balcony. I'll
That
zoom
is-
in for you guys. There you go.
Nice.
They're right up there and they're yelling at people to socially distance.
Well, if they have to fire at you, you know they'll probably miss.
Yeah, you're okay in that matter.
So with all these limitations, would you go to Disney World right now? No hotels. You got to wear the masks. It could be very hot there. Ray, what's your take on this whole thing?
I don't know. See, I'm against the masks in the heat. I was at Southwick Zoo over the weekend and we had to wear the mask and it was a little hot. Now, I'm not the type of person that feels like my rights are being taken away from me. I just don't know if I can handle that kind of heat. So that alone might keep me from going to Florida in June or July when it opens to visit Disney because I love Disney and I don't mind wearing the masks. But I think that's a long day for a family of four, especially with two small kids.
Yeah,
it seems like, especially in August is the worst month to go to Disney as far as the heat's concerned. I was there 2016 and the heat, it got up to like 109 degrees. I don't know how people are going to handle these masks. And the rules being that ages 2 and up have to wear a mask. Have you ever tried to keep a mask on a child for more than like 30 seconds? I have a 2-year-old daughter and she wants to wear a mask for about 5 seconds. I want to put it on. Okay. And then 3 seconds later, oh, I don't want this anymore. And just rips it off. Like, I don't see how anybody with a child, a young child, is going to be able to keep a mask on them. So to me, it almost seems like if you're going to go to Disney, your best bet would be to go without children right now, and just the adults go and enjoy it, because a lot of the things that are there that the children can do aren't available right now with all the new rules that Disney's put in place, like character meet and greets, character dining, because a lot of the rides small kids can't go on anyways too.
Right.
It's better. The experience is not there for a young child, especially for the first time. You don't want to bring your family for the first time to Disney and experience this Disney. I think it's going to be great for the locals. I think that's, if they open up, they're going to kill it with the locals. So they don't need us.
Yeah, that's kind of what they're catering to right now. They don't want people flying in from out of state right now. It seems like, keeping the hotels closed, and they're only doing people with annual pass holders and local people really right now, because if you have an annual pass, you're typically living nearby. You're not from across the country, so you're not going to be flying in and out. And you could still get a hotel somewhere off of Disney property to go, but they're only dealing with people that have had their vacations canceled right now, and annual pass holders.
Bob, what about you? Would you go to Disney World with a mask?
That's a loaded question. Yeah, I would go to Disney World with a mask. The problem is I wouldn't want to keep it on. Like they say, it's so hot down there. Actually, I have been to Disney World for several conferences over the years. My wife and I went, and that was long after my children had grown and moved away. So there are a lot of things for adults to do at Disney World, and I especially liked all the food down there. It was a great place to go around, and at the time, the pools were basically empty, so we had the pools to ourselves. We had mainly the whole park to ourselves, but we weren't really interested in standing in lines waiting to go on the rides.
You brought up a good point with the food. I wonder if the food stands will even be open over there, and how can you keep a mask on while you're eating?
Yeah, they'll probably have the quick service food stations open. I don't know about the sit-down dining, though.
I believe they are closed.
Yeah,
and
right
they
now
haven't
they're
reopened them
closed.
just yet.
Originally, when they canceled people's reservations last week, they were giving out free dining plans to people when they rebooked their vacations, but they've since taken that away, because one of the biggest perks of the dining plan is the sit-down meals with an alcoholic beverage included, and most likely you're not going to be able to do that right now. So they took those away, and they're giving people a 35% discount on their hotels when they come and stay.
Eric, I just quickly have to ask, and I should probably know the answer to this, but who's that on your shoulder?
It's a porg from Star Wars.
Come on.
I haven't watched enough Star Wars. Well, that's good that they're giving them the discounts, but I really just wonder, like, who's going to go? I mean, the locals maybe, but as you guys have said, going there with a mask, riding the roller coasters, going on the rides with a mask, it just seems so uncomfortable to me.
Yeah, Tom, I know so many people that go down as couples that might not have kids. And I think the experts will go down there. They're going to know exactly where to go to begin with. They know which direction to go when they walk through the gates.
Yep.
They know all the tricks, all the tips. So I think those people are going to benefit. If they don't mind, not seeing It's a Small World, but going on some of their more adult-oriented favorite rides, I think they're going to benefit. And if they can, maybe they don't need a picture with Mickey because they have 500 at home already. So I think people will benefit. And it really is going to come down to the price of the ticket. I couldn't find any ticket prices anywhere. It's very expensive to go to Disney. They're going to have to slash it, I would think, at least in half for the stuff they're not offering.
Yeah, they don't have tickets available right now. They're not selling new tickets until they handle everyone that's been canceled so far. I imagine shortly after they open, you'd start to see new tickets become available, but they're going to be very hard to come by, I think.
I would think so, yeah.
And I haven't been to Disney World in recent history, so I'll leave myself out of this question. But what's your favorite attraction at Disney World? We'll go around the table. We'll start off with Bob. What's your favorite attraction there?
Oh, I love the teacups. They're wonderful. The main reason I say that, I'll tell the story about my wife. For years before she ever went to Disney, I mean, we were older when we went to Disney. She couldn't wait to get on the teacups. After we got on, she found out you can spin the wheel in the middle and that makes it go faster and around. She didn't like the teacups after that anymore. So that and the one that comes down from the mountain into the water into the splash. She didn't like that either. So other than that, we were happy.
What about you, Eric?
I have a lot of favorite rides, but I think Splash Mountain has always been a favorite of mine. But the last time I went back in January, I did get to go on Rise of the Resistance after a very long wait. I got there at like 6:30 in the morning and got on at about 8 o'clock at night finally.
Whoa.
Cool. So you waited in line for what was it, 12 hours or
No,
so?
it was a virtual line. So you had to get to the park and check in on the My Disney Experience app to get a spot in the virtual line to get onto the ride. And then our number got called at like 8 o'clock at night. So we waited and waited and waited and waited, but we got on, and that was it's worth the wait and probably one of the greatest things I've ever been on.
All right. How about you, Ray? What's your favorite attraction?
I just missed Rise of the Resistance when I went, but I went on the Falcon, and that was pretty cool. But my favorite was Avatar last time around in Animal Kingdom. I thought that ride was amazing, virtual reality at its finest. And that was a short wait. But my classic favorite is the Haunted Mansion in the Magic Kingdom. I don't know what it is about that, but I always become a child again. I mean, I'm a child anyway, and then I'm I walk in the gates and I'm 12 again. But when I get on that little cart that rides around the Haunted Mansion,
the Doom Buggy,
and that's special. The Doom Buggy, right? That is special. I love it. I love that thing. I'm all giddy just thinking about it. But yeah, I'm giddy thinking about it. But again, wouldn't go down in July. I wouldn't go down in July anyway. I'm a September, November, even January kind of traveler when it comes to Disney.
Well, the best time to go to Florida is either early spring or the fall, because the summer is just so hot over there, especially if you got to wear the mask around Disney World.
But you don't want to go anytime there's school vacation.
Right. Or a holiday. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So I guess we'll see what the result will be with Disney World. But it's such a shame that if you take your kids down, they can't go meet their favorite characters. I know that's one of the things that kids look forward to the most. And of course, they have great fireworks shows. I don't understand why they can't do the fireworks shows. Maybe they just don't want
you've got people
gathering.
gathering. Yeah, I think that's what it is, to get people gathering.
Just keep them 6 feet apart, right?
And I'm fine with that, because another thing I don't like about anything related to Disney or traveling to a place like that is the crowds. The crowds can be overwhelming, especially for somebody that doesn't like too many people around them anyway. I tend to have many panic attacks.
Yeah, riding the buses are horrendous.
Oh, God. But again, at the same time, I love the park, and I want to keep going until the kids don't want to go anymore. Then I'll keep going on my own.
Yeah, we've never stayed for the fireworks. It's always been when the fireworks are about to happen, it's all right, run for the buses now, because everyone's leaving as soon as those fireworks are over. So try to catch those buses.
That's the best time to get on the rides, because everybody leaves the rides, and now you can jump on Space Mountain, and it only takes 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But you're right. The lines for the buses, ridiculous.
Oh, yeah. But there will be a limit on people now.
Yeah. It's going to make it worse waiting for the bus.
Eric, why don't you tell us a little bit about the limits that are going to take place at the Walt Disney facilities?
Well, we don't know what the numbers are exactly, and their capacity limits are only rumored, because apparently they're classified, and whoever has it is has tight lips. They're not letting people know, but it's rumored Walt Disney World is 100,000 people is their limit. And it looked like Tokyo was limiting people to like 20,000. So it's going to be drastically reduced, the number of people that are going to be coming in, maybe by 80%.
Wow.
Yeah, they're going to have the temperature screenings. They're going to encourage people not to pay with cash for anything. They've added Apple Pay to the Disney Experience app. And I want to know where they're going to be putting these relaxation zones where you can take your mask off, because I'm hoping that they have more than one location in each park.
So they're going to allow people a relaxation zone to take their mask off, but is it going to be a gathering of people taking their masks off?
I don't know. Maybe it's like one family at a time for like 5 minutes. I'm not sure. I don't know how it's going to work. I haven't seen anything.
Oh boy. I think it would be very frustrating to work there with all these regulations. Also, if people go on rides, do they sanitize them each time?
Yeah, they're going to have to.
I would hope so. Absolutely. And then how many to a ride? If you have like the Tower of Terror behind you, Eric, turn around and take a look at that thing. Isn't that thing monstrous? Take a look. I want to see you look at it. They'd be scared. No, never mind. If you could put like 25 people on there, how many are you going to put now? 4 or 5? So maybe the lines will still, if you're decreasing the number of people that can be on a ride, you might have to wait in line the same amount of time, even though there's less people in the park.
There might be less people. They might not even have fast passes. I don't know how that's going to work, because they're not going to have the 2 lines anymore. I think what I was reading was they got rid of the fast pass queues to just make it easier to fit more people into the lines. The only way I could see you skipping the line right now is if you get a disability pass at Disney, and then you could get a return time and probably just go right on the rides.
Get it legitimately though. Come on. Make sure it's legit.
My knee hurts. I have anxiety. I can't stand in line.
But I mean, obviously on some of the rides, you're pretty close knit with other people. You're in pretty close quarters. So obviously, I mean, I'd imagine there has to be a limit to how many people would be on each ride, and obviously they would have to be kept separate, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I think what they'd end up doing is do like every other row on a ride. So there'd be your group and then a row that would be empty, and then another group, and then a row would be empty. And I think that's probably what they're going to do.
Yeah, like a standard roller coaster, they'd keep one section closed, put somebody in the next one, next one closed. Yeah, that makes sense.
So do you think they're going to have a total limit on the number of people that can enter the park? And then once that number is reached, they'll have more limits on how many people can stand in line to wait for a particular ride?
Yeah, I believe
they're going to them out.
They're going to close off lines at certain points from what I've read. So once a certain amount of people are standing in line, they'll close those lines. You'll have to go somewhere else. You won't be able to join the lines. And I know entering the park, you can't just show up to the park anymore. You're going to need to reserve a time to enter the park, and then you're going to have to get there and then go through your temperature screening and, scan your magic band and your thumbprint and all that stuff.
Thumbprint. Is that how it all is now? You got to reserve. You can't just go.
Yeah, you can't just show up. You need to, if you have tickets to the park for a certain day, you need to reserve a time to show up. You can't just show up.
By the way, this is standard because this is what Southwick Zoo is doing. You have to buy tickets for a certain hour. So we bought our tickets for 3 to 4, and we were able to go anytime between 3 and 4. So this is standard for amusement parks and the like.
And once you're in, you can stay as long as you want, but you need to reserve that time to get in.
Yeah. That's a good way to keep track of people. I mean, they can't just open the gates and let everybody just filter in. It's crazy enough on a normal day watching people go in, and now they have to watch every single person that comes through.
Right. And if you could stay all day, I mean, I'd imagine when most people go to Disney World, they go in the morning and stay throughout all day and maybe the evening. But obviously there'll be some kind of cutoff for certain hours if they're already booked up with the amount of people that is their maximum amount. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see.
That's a good point, Tom, because if the majority of people go in at 6 a.m., but now you can only pick your time for, everything's booked up in the morning. You can come to 2. You can come in at 2. Everybody that's there at 6, do they get to stay the entire day? And then somebody comes in at 2, only gets half the experience for the same ticket price? I mean, there's got to be a price structure there too. It's
Right.
driving me nuts. It's just like the restaurant thing. There's no information on what's going to happen a
Right.
week from today. And for some, I'm not going to Disney, but it's still frustrating me that there's a lack of information already.
Right. Oh,
I think they're still trying to figure it out.
Yeah,
too,
I
you
know. And that's a big job. I get it.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing is amazing. I'm glad they're opening. There are people that need this. And if you can go safely and make sure it's safe, then more power to them. And I wouldn't want to be on whatever board that is that has to decide all the rules.
I mean, I think with the changes that they've made so far, I think they've done a great job handling the situation and preparing for people. They're going to continue to make further steps, and it'll be interesting to see what happens. For me, anyways, the most interesting thing to watch will be when the hotels open back up and they start letting people stay on Disney property. Are those people going to be guaranteed to get into the park because they're staying at the hotels, or are they going to be at the hotels and then all of a sudden find out they can't go to the park? You know, that would be the most interesting thing for me to see.
And I'm surprised that they're not opening the hotels in some way. I mean, I know in a lot of states, hotels are already open. They were one of the first things to open in a lot of states. But you would think that they just sanitize the rooms after everyone's stay and maybe limit the amount of people on each floor or something like that. But you would figure that they would be open in some capacity.
I would think that they don't want people staying there who could go off site that night, go into Orlando or whatever, pick up the coronavirus, and then come back the next day and go into the park. So I think it's a day-to-day thing. You're welcome for a day, and then we'll take it from there, that kind of thing. So don't stay on the park. You're only here for a day.
Right.
And that makes it kind of tough on somebody coming from Minneapolis, say, to come down there for only the day. And even if they're staying on the park, then they got to leave to get away and then come back later. I don't understand it.
But if they're staying off site, they could go out anyway and bring the virus into the park.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
But they'd have to arrange beforehand to do that, to bring it in. So, because you can't just walk up and get in.
Yeah, and another thing too, I just hope with how hot it gets there, the mask thing doesn't backfire and you got people passing out and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I'm wondering how this whole temperature reading is going to work out in the middle of August. You know, like if it's going to be 109 degrees down there and they're trying to take people's temperatures, is there going to be a buffer zone, like where it's an acceptable temperature? Like if you're standing out in the sun waiting for 2 hours to get into the park, you're going to be cooking out there. So by the time you get your temperature scanned, you're not going to be 98.6 anymore, you know?
Right.
And if you run inside and jump in the pool, that's going to mess up your mask.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how they work all that. I'm sure it'll be all over the news when they finally do reopen in July. But hey, we wish them the best. But while we have a few minutes, why don't you guys, we'll go around the table and just talk about some of your favorite memories visiting Disney. Eric, we'll start with you.
Well, I always love the food when I go to Disney because, especially with the dining plan, you can find some great food on the menu, and I like their fresh catch of the day. They don't tell you what it is until it's never on the menu because they never know what it's going to be. And what I love about it is it's actually usually just a whole fried fish. I'll show you guys. This is from the last time I was at Disney. This is usually fantastic.
Wow.
Wow.
This terrified my daughter, by the way.
What kind of fish is that?
I forget. I don't remember.
Is it like
it's
Star
dead.
Wars?
But that's not the weirdest one I've ever gotten there. When I was there back in 2016, I got a lionfish, and those things have the spikes, and they cook it with the spikes and all. You get the whole thing. I don't have the picture on my computer, so I couldn't share it. But it's usually usually you get some great stuff there.
Well, I know you like to eat weird things and try different things.
Oh yeah.
What kind of fish did you say that was? You don't remember?
I'm not sure what it was. I know it was delicious.
Wow. Ray, what about you? What are some of your favorite memories visiting Disney?
Most recent, I mean, I went as a kid, so going as a family of 4 when I was 12, maybe 10. My sister was 6. That was a lot of fun experiencing that for the first time. That's when the characters just walked around and you can go up and just hug them. And now there's scheduled times and you got to be in this place at the right time or you miss it. But most recently, we went in November, and then we went about 3 years ago. When we went 3 years ago, it was for my son's birthday. So it was on his birthday that we woke him up at 4 a.m. and said, there's a limousine outside and we're going to Disney. And they went nuts. So seeing Disney through their eyes as a fan myself for the first time was pretty amazing. And then being able to share Star Wars with my son. We both love the series and the movies and the TV shows. So to be able to experience everything he saw for the first time was just mind blowing. So yeah, I guess that's my favorite memory, experiencing Disney through the eyes of my children.
Hey, Bob, what about you? Do you have any favorite memories you want to share?
I enjoyed going down there at the time. I mean, it was nice to go to Florida. We went in January every year because that's when the conference was. So it was pretty nice. But I liked the Disney complex where they had, there was a New Orleans themed hotel place. There was a Western themed place. There was a music theme, plus the sites off at the mall that they have there with Planet Hollywood. All of those nightlife places were good. We enjoyed ourselves when we were down there, but I can understand how it makes a difference when my grandchildren went. And I have 3 granddaughters, and they were all enthralled by the princesses. So they love dressing up like Cinderella or Snow White or Jasmine. I know more about princesses now than I ever did.
So do I.
Who are some of your daughter's favorite characters, Eric?
Oh, she loves Chip and Dale. She's obsessed with Pluto and Goofy. And yeah, pretty much them. She loves Minnie. For some reason, she did not like Daisy Duck when we were there. There was one day where we were doing a character buffet, and they were all coming up. And the day before, she met everyone and was happy to see everyone. And on this one day, she all of a sudden decided she wanted nothing to do with Daisy Duck and like gave her the stink face.
Your kids have any favorite characters, Ray?
My son is obsessed with Mickey, going all the way back to the Steamboat Willie days. He knows everything there is about Mickey and Walt and how Mickey came about. And my daughter really is just a fan. She knows the basics. She's never seen Cinderella, but she knows who Cinderella is. But I would say her favorites are Anna and the other one.
Elsa.
Yeah. Elsa, yeah. Frozen, yeah.
Yep. I'll tell you, I got one of those rare character meet and greets actually with the Country Bears from the Country Bear Jamboree.
Yeah.
And my daughter kind of is unamused. She's there.
That is awesome.
He looks a little suspicious of that bear standing next to her. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, I got to get back down there sometime. Probably not this summer, but hopefully when things get more normal, I'll head back down there and take the nephews and the niece. But yeah, I always loved when I was a kid, the characters walking around. You just got to meet them. Mickey and Pluto were my favorites, and Goofy. So, I mean, that was a cool experience. But I guess obviously in the near future, they won't be having the characters walk around too much more. And now it's all lines for them, really. But they used to just walk around, and you'd have a random encounter with them, and it was great.
Mm.
All right, guys. Well, we are out of time, but Ray, we'll have you back tomorrow. We'll talk about some local happenings. Thanks for joining us today. And Eric, thanks for joining us. We'll have you back at some point as well. And Bob, thanks for joining us on the show. And everyone watching, thank you for joining us. This has been the Hopkinton Hangout Hour. We'll catch you tomorrow afternoon at 2 p.m. Take care, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day. All right. Thanks again, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
All
Thanks,
right.
Tom.
Take
All right.
care, and we'll talk to you tomorrow, Ray.
All right. See ya.
Have a good one.
All right. All right. I make a motion to boot Tom right the F out of our